Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 7 on what if Ash was never late. Before we could get to the orange item, but first we had to make our little stop here. You already saw the thumbnail, so let's get into it. After the loss from the Indigo League from Richie, after not getting Aragato to listen to him at the very end really bit him where it really hurts. So Ash returns back home reflecting what should he do next. He did not achieve becoming a Pokemon master, but he doesn't even know himself what it really means. He just knows that being a strong trainer is the first step, but the rest is something else. But in the next few days, Ash has received a message to Professor Oak telling him he needs his help getting a mysterious Pokeball that he needs back from an island far or close to Kanto, and Ash accepts this, unsure what to do next. However, he got also a letter from his mom that he just got her from a male Dragonite, giving him and says that Ash is a top trainer in Kanto, and not a lot of people could earn A badges and rank high in the Indigo League tournament, and Ash has been invited to this, and Ash is pretty excited about this. So he quickly asks Professor Oak he could do this before he can deliver his Pokeball, and Oak doesn't have any problem. He just wants to let Ash have some fun while he's on about it. So Ash needs to get to this mysterious place, but first he needs some trusty Pokemon by his side. So he chooses obviously Venusaur, and we're going to choose Kingler, Arcanine, Magneton, Gengar, and of course his stubborn and vengeful and rageful Pokemon, Aerodactyl here. It took a bit to get there, a few days of travel, but once you get there, it's a pretty busy place. It's frank that a few people managed to get A badges and managed to get in the top in the tournament in the Indigo League. Ash meets strangers that he has never had the opportunity to meet, but there's a few trainers that he does recognize: Gary, Richie, AJ, Giselle, and AJ, and that mysterious samurai trainer again, which means he gets an opportunity to battle again if the tournament aligns just correctly. However, we get to see a little montage of every Ash and the other trainer have a little battle with other trainers. It's a one-on-one only, which means it's a bit tricky to use on which Pokemon is correctly. And this is shown as Ash uses a few Pokemon like Gengar, Magneton, Arcanine, and Kingler, and he tries his best to avoid Aerodactyl to avoid that embarrassing moment. And his rest of his rivals also fought peacefully, especially two in particular, Gary and Richie, and also AJ to a certain extent. And this allows Ash to face the samurai again, and this is quite a pleasant surprise for the both of them, because this is their third match and the pinnacle point which of them is the better, because they have both wins against one another, which means whoever wins it is truly the stronger trainer here. Ash simply calls out for Arcanine here, knowing the type advantage here, and the samurai sends out a new Pokemon here that Ash has never seen before, a Metcross here, and unfortunately he can't find out any information from its Pokédex because it isn't registered in this particular in the region. but however, it's a fearsome battle. Even though Arcanine has that type of advantage, but it proved that this Heracross is quite strong, and learning quick that Heracross is apparently a fighting type, which gives him a bit of an edge over Arcanine here in close quarters. But luckily, with powerful moves like extreme speed, flamethrower, and crunch, earning Ash a victory here, it just has shown that the difference between these two. Ash is much more stronger while the samurai is just keeping up, and the samurai just acknowledged this, that how far Ash has become, and accepts his loss. However, this isn't enough for the samurai to get sad or anything. It just shows that there's a lot more improvements he needs to get over, and both trainers shake their hands, and unfortunately the top trainer doesn't leave in the vicinity just yet, only the ones that will eliminate too soon. And we go to the next round here. Giselle faces AJ here. AJ uses his true but powerful Pokemon Charizard here, and Giselle tries to counter with her Golem here. But even though it's a close match, Golem did manage to do some major damage, but Charizard is too stubborn and much more powerful, earning AJ a victory here. And Giselle is pretty upset by this, but accepts how far she comes thus far. And the fact that Ash beat him and it was a struggle, it just showed that there's a gap between her and Ash and the rest of the tough trainer here. And this is where we get to see the final four competing. Gary versus Ash for round 1, and the next round is Richie versus AJ here. And this is pretty shocking to the four trainers. They just stare one another because they're pretty much the strongest trainer in the facility, which means that once they fight one, it's going to be a heated battle. However, it's only going to be a 2 versus 2, which means it's going to be a bit more back and forth battle. One of the two trainers sends out their powerful dragon Pokemon out to battle. Charizard faces Charmeleon, and this is a pretty heated battle. And Charmeleon really wants to prove himself just how capable he really is on fighting against his fully evolved counterpart. But unfortunately, Charizard is far too powerful, and because of its second typing, giving a much more advantage on doing a powerful aerial ace and one powerful seismic toss, which just crushed Charmeleon to the ground. And Richie has no other choice but to recall his Pokemon and send out Dragon Air to battle, which is a close battle, but thanks to Dragon Air being able to fly and resist the fire typing pretty favorably, and also learning the move Thunderbolt, which gives Richie a quick win, pretty good win here. And once AJ sends out Sandslash, and this is a pretty struggle battle between them, but unfortunately for AJ, Dragon adds this that one advantage: it's able to fly, and this is a big no-no for Sandslash being a ground typing, which is unable to get past that. Even though AJ has counter strategy on handling flying type Pokemon, it's just that Richie is that strong of a trainer that allows Dragon to win here, earning Richie to the next round. And this is where we get to finally have Ash versus Gary here, the weighted match that Ash always wanted it. And this is a good opportunity to showcase how far Ash has truly become. But unknowing to Ash here, Gary has seriously upped gains here. What do I mean by that? Well, simply Gary really focuses on his training and being a much more focused trainer, and not be arrogant here. I like how he just has cheerleaders everywhere, but it just shows you that Gary didn't brought them here because Gary simply wants to showcase he's not messing around. And it showed that Ash and Gary sent out their starters at the very beginning of the journey. Venusaur versus Blastoise here. Blastoise immediately tries to do a powerful Hydro Pump towards Venusaur, but Venusaur, even though it couldn't dodge, but it took the Hydro Pump pretty well, and Ash recalls a powerful Giga Drain. This move has been replaced by Solar Beam because Giga Drain is much more reliable much more reliable than Solar Beam here, which shows here that Venusaur allows him to gain some health and drain down Blastoise's health here. But Gary could reply with a rapid spin, able to get away from the vines here and unleashing a powerful Ice Beam here, which does some damage to Venusaur, but still hangs on that it unleashes a powerful Earthquake underneath Blastoise where it's about to land and bursting in the ground with a powerful boom, and just leads Ash to another move with a Leech Seed, allowing Ash to have a orange battle here. But Gary isn't having none of it as Blastoise tries to use a powerful Hydro Pump, but this time Venusaur managed to dodge and tries to do a powerful Sludge Bomb, but Blastoise simply uses Protect to protect himself from the damage and quickly recall Blastoise back from Gary's spot and sends out his powerful Alakazam to battle. And this is a tough situation for Ash because Alakazam could do crazy damage onto Venusaur being a poison type, but he needs to hang on strong. As Venusaur tries to do a powerful Giga Drain to pull down some health, but Alakazam managed to use the move Teleport to teleport out the way and use Psychic to do devastating damage to Venusaur. But Venusaur is still standing because the years of taking damage, it applies here that Venusaur has great endurance here and allows him to do a powerful Leech Seed, but unfortunately Gary won't for that mistake twice again, as Alakazam simply teleports away, then unleashes another Psychic power towards Venusaur, and Ash quickly recalls Venusaur here and sends out his only counter to Alakazam, his trusty Psychic killer Gengar here, which shows because it's jokingly floating in the air in pure enjoyment. And this is where Gary tries to use Psychic again, but Gengar simply hides in a shadow, and once Alakazam is shocked by this, Gengar appeared in behind it with a powerful Shadow Ball directly in its back. But lucky for Gary, Alakazam is not the only Pokemon could regain some health, as it used the move recovering some much more needed health here, which allows Gengar to hide away. But luckily for Gary, he has one move try to snip out Gengar out of the shadow with a powerful Shockwave, and it doesn't matter where Gengar is, the move will always find its way to Gengar, which allows Alakazam to hit Gengar in the shadow, causing Gengar to get surprised by this, doing good damage. But Ash simply replied with a powerful Will-O-Wisp, and this gets Gengar to hit on Alakazam, giving Alakazam a burn here. However, there's a problem. It triggered its hidden hits ability synchronize, which forced Gengar to also get burned by this, and Ash is pretty surprised by this, and Gary just simply smirked. That's what I was waiting for, because he knew that Ash has that move on Gengar and is probably gonna regret it. Allows Alakazam to do a powerful Psychic, but Gengar managed to move out the way by hiding the shadows and then coming back out with a powerful Payback, unleashing double the damage to Alakazam. But Alakazam barely dodged the attack by teleport, but it did took some damage, And this is a back and forth on Alakazam using Shockwave to sniff out Gengar, but Gengar managed to get hit, but luckily does a powerful payback every time. But Alakazam simply teleports away, which means this is a endurance in battle, which is not comfortable because usually he's the one who has the advantage of, since these both Pokemon are in the ticking time bomb. However, when they try to use Shadow Ball and Gary uses Psychic, the two Pokemon traded blows one another, which means both of them are knocked out by this, which is surprised by them, and Ash and Gary has no other choice but to recall their Pokemon back. Then both of them immediately calls back in as starters to battle. Immediately, Venusaur tries to do a powerful Giga Drain and Blastoise tries to use Hydro Bomb, and the two collide one another with a big smoke. But the train does not waver and recall another move, calling out Sludge Bomb and Ice Beam respectively, as both of them get hit by each other in unison as they took major damage. But Venusaur has the slight edge up because it was hit by this, but it's getting tired at this point. And also Blastoise has a move to protect him from any move like Giga Drain in particular, but Leech is doing its best to recover any injuries. But luckily for Gary, he doesn't need to worry about Leech because he quickly used Rapid Spin, not only doing damage to Venusaur but getting rid of Leech, which Ash grits his teeth and gets angry by this. Venusaur tries to use Earth Power, but Blastoise simply protects and letting Blastoise to do a powerful Ice Beam. But Ash, even though Venusaur is getting damage, Ash has an idea. It's crazy enough that it just might work, but he needs to trust on Venusaur, and Venusaur gradually smiles at his trainer. And then Venusaur tries to use a powerful Giga Drain. And Gary simply replies, Ash, how predictable he can be, as Blastoise tries to use the move Recover, but Venusaur was not aiming directly at Blastoise, he was aiming into the ground, as Venusaur's vines dig into the ground and then use a powerful earth power, exploding underneath Blastoise. Even though it did not take any damage, but it's forced up into the air, spinning until it goes going to land. And then Venusaur aims for a powerful Sludge Bomb, but Gary is quickly to reply with a Hydro Pump to cushion his landing. The two moves collide one another as Blastoise is landing on top of Venusaur with a powerful boom. These two Pokemon just struggle to get up, but unfortunately for Venusaur, even though it battled very hard, but it's clear that even though he healed himself with Giga Drain, unfortunately it's not about health, it's about endurance, because Venusaur at this point is getting tired, and Blastoise isn't getting damage as much thanks to protect, allowing Gary to win here. And Ash is pretty devastated by this. There's no other choice but to recall his Pokemon and praising it. And Gary remarked that it's not his Ash should be proud by himself how far he became, but the only difference between them is Gary does not focus on his losses. He just gets better and better, and that's what he should focus on, improvements, as Gary walks away waiting for his next match. And Ash is pretty stunned by this. And the next scene we get to see Richie versus Gary here, and it's pretty clear who's winning, as Charmeleon is as Richie is using Snorlax and Gary is using Rhydonia, and thanks to its typing resisting its normal moves and using the particular move called Hammer Arm, allowing Gary to get the first knocked out, and Richie sends out Dragon Air, which does manage to knock Rhydon away with a powerful Dragon Ball. But unknowingly, Gary has his next choice ready, Blastoise, and he's using his only move to do some major damage to the Dragon type, and Ice Beam. And even though Dragon Air can fly away the attack in the air, but unfortunately Gary has been watching through the battle and have seen how Richie can really be in the battle, knowing Dragon Air pretty well, and has a quick strategy how to counter every one of his moves. Like when Gary tries to use Thunderbolt, Blastoise simply try protect or reducing the damage with rapid speed, which allows Gary to win the tournament, being the toughest trainer in Kanto that isn't an Elite Four or champion. And once the combatant has committed, there's an invitation on Ash, Gary, Richie, AJ, Giselle in the ceremony to have a little celebration here for the next day. Yeah. Ash and the rest of his driver have a little bit of a talk about the invitation, but quickly realize there's a quick video sending to them and saying that Gary will have to face the toughest trainer after winning the tournament, and Gary accepts this and eager to accept the challenge, thinking he might have challenged the Elite Four or something else, something special, but is unsure of it, so he has to find out tomorrow because that's where they're gonna have their battle, including the rest of them. Surprisingly, and all of them are quite excited, even though Gary won. Trainer is inviting them regardless, but Gary gets to battle him first, so all of them are pretty excited, which leads Gary and Ash just for a moment to talk. The next day follows as usual, but unfortunately they met with a powerful storm, and the officer Jenny is prevent them to go out of the Pokemon Center, noting it's very dangerous for them to be out there. But unfortunately, this doesn't stop Ash and the rest of his rivals to get there regardless, because this is an opportunity they won't waste, as Gary sends out PGR to take him into the air, and Richie sends out Dragon Air for a bit of a help. Then AJ simply sends out his Charizard to help him. Ash does have Aerodactyl to help him, but it's quickly realized that the Samurai and Janet need his help because they don't have any sort of flyer or swimmer big enough to help him through the storm. So they awkwardly ask for his help, but Ash simply accepts this because Aerodactyl is big enough for all three of them. So all of them are flying over towards this mysterious island they come to. This mysterious invitee, known as so-called the strongest trainer in the world. So once everyone has made it into the island, it's required for them to send all their Pokemon out, and this shocked most of them, but they had no other choice but to apply this, as everyone sends out their 6 Pokemon, and Ash has the opportunity to see what type of Pokemon does his rivals have at the moment, showing right here. But this mysterious hooded trainer finally revealed himself as Mewtwo, and this pretty much played out like the original until to the point where Ash and the rest of the gang will challenge Mewtwo to a Pokemon battle, because to them a Pokemon can't be a Pokemon trainer, and this is pretty bizarre. But once this mysterious figure revealed himself to Mewtwo, everyone was confused and didn't know what to do. But the two trainers knew him immediately, Ash and Gary, because they fought him and they said to themselves he is quite strong, and they're unsure what to do against Mewtwo here. But regardless of the situation, everyone is going to try their best to battle Mewtwo here. And then Mewtwo revealed that he will use his own cloning Pokemon known as the three starters in Kanto: Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, and a couple other Pokemon like Clone Dragonite and Clone Scyther and Clone Golem here. And Mewtwo will challenge every one of them to a one-on-one battle to see how powerful Mewtwo really is here. And this played out very differently here, because we're not using the same trainers here. We're using the trainers that we are familiar at this point. The Samurai will challenge Mewtwo first here. He sends out his trusty ace Pokemon here, Scyther here, and Mewtwo sends out his clone Scyther here. And these two are very similar, as these two clashes their Scythers one another, flying in the air, dodging and weaving all their attacks. But unfortunately for the Samurai here, his Scyther is much more slower than his, and the clone Scyther uses moves like agility and sword stance to power up his attack, allowing Scyther to literally move a blur so Scyther is unable to detect him. And once the clone Scyther managed to do a super effective aerial ace, it's knocked out pretty easily, leaving the Samurai devastated. It's Giselle's turn. She calls upon her Golem to battle, and Mewtwo sends out another mirror match here. And this is where the two Golem goes into their ball form and trying to wreck and to show which one is more dominant. And Giselle's Golem uses Gyro Ball, but Mewtwo calls for a counter attack with a powerful Earthquake, as the clone Golem literally breaks the surface with a powerful thud, cracking the surface, and managed to do a super effective move on Golem. And Giselle is unable to counter this and forces her to take the full damage. Giselle tries to call out for a powerful Rock Slide, and it does hit the clone Golem, but it doesn't do much as effective as she predicted, as the clone Golem just took that damage and charges Golem with a powerful body press, slamming its huge body into Golem here and knocking out with just two moves. And this forces AJ to really think his next move. So he sends out his ace here, Charizard here, and Mewtwo sends out Charizard here. And it played out pretty similarly how Ash uses his Charizard against Mewtwo here, and it played out pretty similarly. And Richie sends out his fully evolved Pokemon here, Dragon here, while Mewtwo sends out his full power Dragonite here. And this clearly shows that the difference in power and evolution. Even though Richie is a talented trainer, unfortunately Mewtwo is just that powerful, allowing him to command Dragonite to do a powerful Dragon Claw, one-shotting Dragon Air. And this is where Mewtwo marks that he could have a proper chance if Dragon Air have evolved, because doesn't the humans who always want power in which we recall that this power has nothing to do of a battle. But unfortunately, this doesn't face through Mewtwo and just calls for a next challenge here. It's Ash's turn. He sends out Venusaur, and Mewtwo sends out his clone Venusaur here. And Ash calls out for a powerful Sludge Bomb, and Mewtwo also counters with a powerful Sludge Bomb. As the two go with substance clash and cancelling each other's moves completely, but Ash doesn't give up and calls upon a powerful Earth power. As Venusaur calls upon the Earth, a small crackle underneath the clone Venusaur's feet, but to Ash's surprise, Mewtwo calls for him to jump, and this large Pokemon managed to dodge the attack completely by simply dodging that his large body probably couldn't do, but it just did. And Mewtwo calls for another powerful Sludge Bomb, and this lucky shot managed to hit Venusaur really greatly, and Ash tries to call upon a Giga Drain, trying to absorb some damage in the process. But unfortunately, this is where Mewtwo calls upon Frenzy Plant, and the clone Venusaur calls upon all the vines in the area, and these two powerful vines just clash their vine towards Venusaur, knocking it out until Venusaur slowly tries to get up, and this surprises Mewtwo, and Venusaur is still standing ready for the battle. And this point, these two Pokemon doesn't try to actually fight, they simply try to clash their heads one another, and surprisingly, Ash's Venusaur is winning as Venusaur overpowers the clone Venusaur and unleashes a powerful Sludge Bomb. Mewtwo remarks that this Venusaur is strong, and he smirked to himself, which is why it's going to be mine. And Mewtwo simply calls for another Frenzy Plant, and this second one does manage to cripple Venusaur, knocking it out, as Ash quickly goes towards it and quickly tries to check on his Venusaur situation. However, there is one more Pokemon trainer and Mew has to fight before he can get to Ash's Venusaur, and that's Gary Oak. And Mewtwo simply smoked to himself that the last time they met, he couldn't match his. But Gary retorts that this time he's much a different person here. So he sends out Blastoids to battle, and Mewtwo just simply calls upon his Blastoids to battle. And both of them call out for a Hydro Pump as the two move clash one another, making a bit of a rain storm here, as the water move makes the entire battlefield a bit of a rain here. But Gary doesn't hesitate to call a powerful Skull Bash as Blastoid lowers his head and launches himself towards the clone Blastoid, doing major damage. But Mewtwo isn't phased by this and simply calls for a rapid spin as the clone Blastoid goes into his shell and rotates with a powerful spinning motion, knocking a couple of hits on Gary's Blastoise, but it doesn't phase Blastoise as Blastoise calls for a powerful Ice Beam attack, nearly freezing the clone's feet in place, forcing the clone to stop for the moment so he gets to free himself. And this is where Gary tries for a second Skull Bash, and this time it does major damage to Blastoise here. As the clone Blastoise is flinched by this gives Gary his Blastoise another opening with a powerful Hydro Pump, and this managed to knock out the clone Pokemon and stuns everyone, including Mewtwo. He remarks that the trainer that impresses him is Ash, Gary. Even Richie, even though he thinks himself he hasn't done much. But Mewtwo retorts that the next challenger he needs to face is him, as Mewtwo simply floats into the battlefield, and Gary grits his teeth realizing he needs to fight Mewtwo now. He tries to use a powerful third Hydro Pump, but Mewtwo simply uses his psychic powers to literally nullify the attack, and Ritish sends out a powerful Shadow Ball towards Blastoise, nearly knocking it out as well as Blastoise tries to use Ice Beam again. But unfortunately, Mewtwo simply teleports behind him and unleashes a powerful psychic, pushing Blastoise onto the ground, creating a powerful psychic blast towards Blastoise, knocking it out. And Gary lost here. But unfortunately for Mewtwo here, the other trainer calls out that that's unfair because he just said it's supposed to be a one-on-one. But Mewtwo simply scoffed by this and retorts there's no such thing as a fair fight, as Mewtwo calls upon floating Pokeballs here, and you throw one at Gary's Blastoise and it's captured, and this stuns the others, and Mewtwo slowly turns the rest of them, and he simply, like I said to all of you, your Pokemon are going to be mine. Once Mewtwo has defeated Gary and the rest of them, he summons a bunch of weird Pokeballs that he summons, and they starting to float around most of their Pokemon, and one of them managed to hit and managed to go inside it, which is pretty bizarre by them because they can't be captured because they're already been captured. But Mewtwo has proven how powerful he is with power, intelligence, and technology far beyond their scopes. And this leads to a similar scene in the movies, as one of Ash's Pokemon is nearly get captured, and Ash quickly thinks that they can't get captured if they get signed in their Pokemon. So Ash quickly called for Gengar and Aerodactyl back to his Pokeball, but quickly finds out it didn't matter because once they return to their Pokeball, the two Pokeball quickly clips Ash's Pokemon and catches them inside of them, and one rocket managed to hit Venusaur, and this forces Ash to try to get back Venusaur here, and it played out pretty similarly in the movie here. Ash tried to find where his trusty starter is, but quickly found out he's in a weird place, and he finds out there's an old man in a cell of kind, and this old man called out the young man for help, and Ash finds out he's Mr. Fuji here, and Mr. Fuji explains to and Ash wanted to know why Mewtwo captured this old man, and Mr. Fuji explains that he's the one who created Mewtwo, and this shocks Ash to his very core. And this is where Mr. Fuji explains how it was created, and explaining that it's all his fault he became a weapon and not treating him like a regular Pokemon because of the neglectance and being half human, half Pokemon made Mewtwo's views to be very bleak here, and because of that Mewtwo got out of hand, and he was made to be a weapon for Team Rocket's evil deed. And this is where Ash finds out why Mewtwo was created in the first place, because of Giovanni, the same man that he defeated that escaped from the battle here. And Mr. Fuji is very sad and but most importantly frustrated to himself because it's all his fault that he created Mewtwo in the first place. But Ash doesn't obscure this, so he lets Mr. Fuji free here for the moment, And the old man is pretty bizarre that the Yaman did free him, because to him it felt like he deserved this, to be trapped here by his own creation. But Ash doesn't dwell on that and says to him if not bad on about Mew and how he created, then he's not a bad person by any means. And because Mr. Fuji helps Ash's endeavors on freeing the rest of his Pokemon and the other Pokemon. As we go back to a scene where Mewtwo has managed on capturing and taming all their Pokemon, and this angers Gary and AJ and demands to bring back their Pokemon, as AJ quickly tries to punch a legendary Pokemon, but Mewtwo easily reflects his punches back into him as his file falls into the ground, and the other two trainers, the Samurai and Rich, has to hold him back to stop him from trying to hurt himself more than anything else. But Mewtwo simply floats in the air that he's going to create a paradise for powerful Pokemon like him and his clones. But unfortunately, as Mewtwo tries to fly away, he is quickly stopped by a mysterious Pokemon, Mew, and this is where Mewtwo is frustrated and gets angry, and they would have a battle here, but it's also stopped where we go to a similar scene where Ash is walking out with his Pokemon and the rest of the gang's Pokemon here, and Mewtwo summons their version, his clone Pokemon here, and this played pretty similarly to the very end where Ash tries to stop Mew and Mew from destroying one another by being in the center of it, and this is where everyone stopped in Venusaur and the other Pokemon quickly surround him, and this is where they try their best to break Ash free from being stoned, but it slowly becomes sadder and said that their trainer they knew is gone forever, including Aerodactyl, even though he didn't like Ash, but he was the only one who cared enough to take care of this exotic Pokemon, as all of them slowly cried out, and the rest of the Pokemon, including Ash's rival here. And this made me to think about the bigger picture here and reflects on this. And because of this allows Ash to be free on his stone prison forever, and once again Ash is free, and this is where Mewtwo stops his plans and just wants to reflect on things by teleporting himself and the clones teleporting away without leaving a little memory wipe. But they only remember this as a vivid dream here. As Ash and Gary, AJ, Giselle, the Samurai and Richie, and AJ is sitting on the ground next to their Pokemons and have no idea what just happened. If they the only thing that they could remember is they went to a tournament and something happened, and Ash quickly realizes he needs to go back to the Pokemon professor on helping out, and this is where we leave our episode here. So what do you think my version of the first Pokemon movie played out? Did you like it, dislike it? How about you follow along by subscribing so you can know the next spot coming as we go to the Orange Islands. Until next time, peace.